Welcome to Know Your Money, where we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. In our podcast, we'll be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you with managing your money. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. Craig, Warren, how are you today?
Very good, Bronwyn, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. Warren?
I'm well, thank you, Craig. It's
Never
good to see you,
all.
buddy. Good to see you.
Okay, guys, so we are on the last C of the series.
Because Rob's here.
Yes.
Yes. One day, Rob is here.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
And there's 7 of them. Isn't that a good number?
Yeah.
And does this mean that it's the last time I'm here?
No,
the
no,
door's
no.
going to be closed the next time I come. Is that right?
Maybe for next week, Rob.
Okay. I'm sure you need a break. But I'm going to miss you.
You're always welcome here.
You've got
Yes,
a lot of content.
absolutely.
I'm sure there's many more subjects we can talk about. And I hope you do join us again.
Well, thank you.
Been a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. It's been fun, and I'm sad that it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is the last one?
The last one, arguably, is the most important one. You know, we keep the best to last, and the last one is courage. And that might again seem a bit odd, but I think we've talked through the other 6 C's, and really, I think to implement the other 6 C's, you know, we need courage and to be willing to engage with this work in this way. I think we need courage. If I may just share a quote with you from Maya Angelou, who said, "Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage you cannot practice any other virtue consistently." And so I think the interesting thing about courage is that we often think about it in physical terms. You know, so I know for me, I try and mountain bike, and I'm not very courageous. And as a result of that, I'm not very good at it. And courage is very helpful in physical terms. But on an intrapersonal, so within ourselves, and an interpersonal, courage is less obvious. You know, it's less evident. You can't see it being displayed. And a woman named Tegan Phillips, who you might have heard of, she's a bit of a TED Talk. No, she did a TED Talk in Cape Town a few years ago. She's a South African cyclist and a cartoonist. And she talks about the distinction between sexy courage and unsexy courage. And I suppose sexy courage is obviously the physical courage. And I'm afraid to say today we're going to be talking about the unsexy courage. So sorry about that. Yeah. But I mean, you know, the work that you guys do as financial planners, you get to be with clients in potentially very difficult sort of points in their lives or phases in their lives. You know, we talk about people going through up to 80 transitions in their life. Some can be great, like getting married, having kids. Others can be very traumatizing, like somebody dying, somebody being disabled. What is your sense of this? You know, how do you feel about courage as something that's important for your work?
Well, I suppose it goes down to some of the conversations you need to have with your clients, you know, and sometimes they're very uncomfortable. I think we spoke a few weeks ago about the markets, and when the markets, like Warren said, in 2008, the markets came off, and as we said, it's going to happen again. And the pressure is to go to cash, jump out the market, safe haven, and you've got to say, no, it's not long term, it's not going to be the right option. You need to stay in the market, and it will be a better outcome. And those are the
Takes courage to stand.
Yeah, and it's easier for us as financial planners to say to the client, yes, you're right, flip you into cash, and I can sleep at night. I don't have to take your call the next day when the markets come off again the next day. You know, it's off the table now. But the problem is getting back in the market, as we know. Can't time it. So those kind of discussions you need to have. And also, I suppose it goes back to the plans as well. You might have excellent plans with you and the client, and they don't implement them. And then there's difficult discussions to have, because what will happen if you don't have it, you know? We're not trying to put fear into them, but we're trying to just show them the importance of sticking to the plan. And yeah.
And I think for clients, it's so important to have the courage to be able to tell your financial advisor anything and everything, so that they can plan properly for you.
Yeah, there's no judgment, and it's difficult often to bare your soul and say, I've got this problem, I've got this worry, or I have this happening in my life and I'm not sure what I must do. It's easier to sit there and mask it, say everything looks good, meanwhile it's not good.
Yeah, and also like if they come to us and say, I want to buy that new car, you've got to kind of pluck up the courage to almost crush one of their dreams by telling them, this isn't really in your financial plan. I think that takes a lot of courage to do that, but it's important to have it. And for the person receiving that to be able to have courage that they've got to trust their advisor in that call, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it requires courage from you to challenge clients, to push back on clients, and I think that in a way it goes back to the evolution of financial planning as a profession, in that, it started out as a sales function. And to be a good salesperson, the last thing you want to do is challenge a client. You just want to.
The client's always right.
Yeah, the client's always right. And so this is a real shift. So it's something for clients to get used to say, actually, this financial plan is challenging me. He's making me think about, and we've spoken about curiosity. He's making me think about my own life and questioning me and asking me to think, is that really what you want to be doing? And that requires courage, and it requires courage of the client to obviously interrogate their own lives. But going back to what you said, Bronwyn, about when clients come to you, and this is the key, and you probably know Brené Brown, who's a sort of a TED Talk phenomenon, and she's written lots of books on vulnerability, on shame, on leadership. And she talks about the fact that you can't get to courage without rumbling with vulnerability. So she's saying that any act of courage comes from a place of vulnerability, because otherwise it's not courageous. It's a bit like if you know what the outcome of what you're going to do before you do it, that doesn't require courage. You know what I mean? If I know what's going to happen, I don't need courage to do it. Courage is about when I don't know what the outcome's going to be. And Brené Brown defines vulnerability as the emotion we experience during times of uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And I think
planning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that your clients are experiencing that every time they come and see you, to different degrees.
Yeah.
But there's uncertainty, which is where we started this series, when I shared that story of my dad and his airplane crash and being in the water and that uncertainty of deciding what to do. It never gets certain. We live in a world of uncertainty, and your clients are desperate for certainty. We all are.
Yeah,
our brains are wired for certainty.
Yeah.
That's what our brains keep us safe. And how do we know we're safe? Well, when things are certain. Risk. There's risk in our lives all the time. And emotional exposure, so uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure is what Brené Brown defines as vulnerability, and that actually is the sort of the ingredients that are needed for courage. So if you don't have those things there, then you don't need courage. But I think your clients need courage hugely, because they're going to be feeling that when they come and see you, and to be able to work with that vulnerability is about having courage. So I think. I feel like I'm rambling a bit here.
No, this is great.
Not at all.
Warren, how do you feel about being vulnerable when it comes to talking about money?
I think being vulnerable is one of the best things you can do. I think people respect you more when you're vulnerable with them, when you have the courage to be vulnerable with somebody. And I've certainly noticed in my life, coming back from the UK, coming here, having a few things in my life go a bit wrong, and being able to have hard conversations with people took the courage to do so and put me onto the path that I am on now. And I'm so happy that I did that. So I completely agree with without vulnerability, there is no courage, because they are, one is the other,
Hi everyone, if you would like to get a copy of Rob's book, The 7 Pillars of Financial Health, we have shared a link in the bio with the web address as well as a discount code you can use. The book retails for 375 Rand excluding delivery, and with this promo code you will pay 370, which includes delivery. Alternatively, you can find the book at exclusive books or other bookstores. We would like to thank you for listening, and please remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast so that we can bring on more exciting guests like Rob to help you with knowing yourself and knowing your money.
Yeah, and so in a sense, if we build on that, and I said at the start that in a sense, courage is necessary for all of the other skills, C's, whatever you want to call them, that we've spoken about. You could look at each one and see how courage plays into that. So if you go back to clarity takes courage, because to your point, Bronwyn, that you keep drumming home for me, is yes, we can have what we really want. We can have it. But it takes courage to work out, to be clear, what is it I really want?
Yes.
It really does take courage. And am I willing to go there? Am I willing to sort of be open to the idea that I need to now, make choices that I really, really want, as opposed to just going with the flow. And then confidence takes courage, So, the philosopher Goethe said that courage is the commitment to begin without any guarantee of success. And obviously, if you do commit to something and it is successful, you build confidence, So, but to commit, you've got to have the courage.
Yes.
So and obviously the failure, the opposite is true. Failure can erode confidence. We can lose our confidence if we fail.
And I think that's where you need to see failure just as feedback instead of something bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to have the courage to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's where the successes are born.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then connection requires courage. And I remember working with a financial planner who said, clients' life's important, but we'll talk about the money first, and then over time we'll get to talking about their life, which is completely the wrong way around.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons was that planner felt vulnerable on the sort of emotional level and didn't really want to connect with their clients emotionally,
Yeah.
So connection does require courage, and also the sort of possibility that there will be failure in that I actually won't connect with this person, or I thought I'd connected and we actually hadn't connected because I got a phone call telling me about something that they'd done which was crazy, and then curiosity requires courage, that old story about lawyers in a courtroom, never ask a question unless you know the answer that you're going to get to the question, And here, what we're suggesting is, as financial planners, you want to ask questions that you definitely don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
That requires courage, to do that, to be curious, and then for your clients to be curious about their own lives. We are creatures of habit. We have this thing called the inertia bias. If things are comfortable, we'll just keep going. So to be curious, and that curiosity creates the possibility of changing things, of your friend going off. You shared with us in a previous podcast, Warren. Becoming
Took a lot of courage.
From being an investment guy to a coder, that's huge courage. And then also, from your perspective, particularly collaboration takes courage because, you're the experts, you're the professionals. Clients are coming to you for advice, and for you to say to your clients, "Well, actually, we want to collaborate here. We want to make sure that what we do is right for you." And we know that clients, the one thing we know the clients are expert in is in their own lives, but they'd often still have blind spots, and so for you to collaborate with clients and to unpack that with them, it requires courage. And then the last C that we spoke about in the last podcast, communication, that requires courage, to be willing to communicate good stuff, bad stuff, to be consistent.
Open and honest communication.
Yeah.
It's not always easy.
No.
More often than not, it isn't.
No, more often you're right.
No. I mean, I was with a group of planners a few weeks ago, and one of the planners came up to me after the session and was sort of asking, in a sense, for advice, because what had happened was they had made a mistake on a client's account, and they had hoped to correct the mistake before they had to communicate to the client, and they hadn't been successful. So now they're sitting in a situation where they had hoped to correct the error, it hadn't been corrected, and now they had a client meeting. What do they do? Do they share it or don't they? But to your point, if you are vulnerable, if you are willing to disclose an error, the chances are you're actually going to increase trust with your clients. I mean, I don't know if you guys, you probably don't ever make mistakes.
Well, you all know I have a carpentry business as well. And through fear, my employee Joseph would, in the past, when we were early on working together, he wouldn't tell me if he'd made a mistake. And then invariably I'd find out about it. And it would really upset me because he didn't understand that it wasn't the mistake that upset me. It was him lying about it or omitting it. And so while I was away now in the UK, I get a call one day and he goes, I'm very sorry. What have you done, Joseph? He told me what he'd done. And I went, that's okay, buddy. We can fix that. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Try to be more careful while I'm away, but it's fine. And it was the courage he had to call me that actually it was a non-issue in the end.
Yeah.
Because he communicated with me.
And Rob, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And that happens all the time. Not all the time, but it does happen. And it's how you sort them out. That's the important thing. And don't blame. Don't blame anybody. We've had, some things happen in suppliers to us that have made mistakes and they try and cover their track. You said, doesn't matter. The mistake happened. Let's try and work it out. And it will work out. Just face it and communicate and we'll collaborate. We'll sort it out. And it's not going to blame anybody. We're human, so we'll sort it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, going back to this idea of being human, and I think, the 7 C's talk to the sort of pillars of developing financial health as such. And financial health is about being human and about money. Sort of in some ways money is this object and being human is quite a complex mix of emotions and experiences and life and conditioning. And I think it requires courage to work with that, to work with human beings as human beings and to focus on them. And for us as human beings, as your clients, to engage with ourselves and to really, try and live an authentic life, that we really want to and get, have everything we want to have, as Bronwyn promises.
And I want to just say the courage to be authentic.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In this day and age of social media and everyone trying to one-up each other, to be yourself, it takes a lot of courage.
It does.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's ongoing. It's ongoing. We're never done, and I think that also talks to financial health. You're never done, whether you're 30, 50, 70, 90. It's an ongoing process. We've got to keep working at it. But I would hope that, with these 7 pillars that we've talked about, that they can be part of the process, and part of the mix of helping your clients, develop that financial health. And I think, something, I realize we're coming towards the end, just to say the subtitle of the book is Partnering with a Professional to Thrive. Sort of going back to where we started is that, because, it requires things like courage to be financially healthy, it helps to work with professionals like yourselves, to have a partner who helps you, who's with you, who cares for you. Something I forgot to mention where you spoke about curiosity, is that the current definition of curiosity is inquisitiveness, to be inquisitive about somebody, like the cat.
Yeah.
But actually, in its original form, curiosity meant to care. And so being curious is about caring. And I think, you guys are in the caring profession, in a caring profession.
Yeah.
And that being in a caring profession, as we saw during COVID, requires courage. And so I think that, you guys do an incredible job, with your clients and for your clients in what you do. And hopefully what we've talked about in this series is giving your clients a sense of, if they can bring their human selves to the relationship, it can only enhance, So it's not just about bringing your money to the relationship, because your clients are not money. Is not money. English,
that's perfect.
They aren't money. Your clients are people.
Oh, yeah. Very
and
much,
so we're really working with people.
People helping people to secure their financial future.
Exactly.
Yes.
Great.
It's been so insightful. Thank you for joining us, Rob, and for coming through and sharing your knowledge and all of your experiences. We've loved having you here. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Bronwyn.
Incredible, Rob. Thank you so much. And the book has been amazing. Thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, and safe travels.
Thanks, Warren. Yeah. Take care. And I'll hope I get invited back to
For sure.
Absolutely.
There's many more topics.
Just going to give it a look and then you're back. Yeah.
Can I message you when I look at the weather forecast?
So get stuck, Rob. I've got a spare room here. You'll be fine.
Thanks, Warren. Okay. Take
Thank
care,
you,
guys. All the
everybody.
best.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.